Rusty's driver looked at a notice which was pinned to the board inside the engine shed. "Watch out," he read aloud. "There's a thief about." "What's a thief?" asked Rusty. "Someone who steals things without asking," replied his driver. "So we must be on our guard." Ivo Hugh was dismayed. "My guard's nice," he wailed. "I don't want to hurt him." His driver tried to explain. "It means we must keep a good lookout for people who shouldn't be here." "But you and firemen do that anyway," objected Ivo Hugh. "So why should we worry?" The driver gave it up. The Scullery Railway sheds are two different types. One is big and the other one's small. No matter what engines would come in, they would occupy any of the berths. When there's not enough space, the other engines would sleep outside. When they arrived late, one night, their drivers put out their fires, cleaned them, and went home. Ivo Hugh woke during the night feeling lonely. He wondered for a moment what had wakened him and then heard a door close softly. Driver must have come back for something, he thought. He was preparing to go to sleep again when he heard the sound of a nearby footstep. Opening his eyes, he could just make out a dark figure coming towards him. "Who's there?" he asked. His voice echoed eerie in the empty shed. There was a quick intake of breath, followed by what sounded like a collision between two people. "Ouch!" said a voice. "What's that?" said another. There was a pause. "Must have been the wind," said the second voice. "What's that shadow over there?" The first man switched on a torch and found that the shadow was mighty. "Only an engine," he said. "Nothing to worry about." "Where does that passage go?" "How should I know?" retorted the other. "You're the one with the torch. Come on. That engine standing there gives me the willies." There was a sound of retrieving footsteps, and Mac woke up to realize there were men inside. "Hello," it said, booming through the passageway. Immediately there was a shout and a cluster. Feet ran back along the passage, and then right next towards Mighty, which woken up and said "Boo!" playfully. It was too much for the intruders. "That engine's back here again," wailed one. "I'm off." Careless of noise now, the two made for the main door of the shed, slopped through it, and slammed it behind it. The next morning, the drivers found a broken torch lying on the floor outside the sheds, the passage. "Who's been here in the night?" they asked the engines. "Don't know," all said, except for Mighty Mac and Ivo Hugh. They only wanted to play, but they shouted and ran away. The drivers had been checking around the shed. "Nothing seems to be missing," said one. "You must be pulling our wheels," said the other. "We're not," squeaked Mighty Mac and Ivo Hugh indignantly. "There were two men, and when we tried to play hide and seek, they ran away. They must have dropped the torch when they went." The drivers and some of the engines remained unconvinced, although Rusty and Peter Sam looked at each other. Maybe Mighty Mac and Ivo Hugh were telling the truth after all. One afternoon, Duncan arrived back at Crowburn's Gate with his passenger train after completing his morning run. As he pulled in, he saw a large wooden crate standing on the platform. "I wonder where's that going?" he thought to himself. He asked Freddie, "Sorry, Duncan, I don't know where's it going." But then, in the bustle of arrival, he forgot all about it. His fireman uncoupled him from the train, and Duncan went off to have a drink nearby. When Duncan looked back at the platform, the crate had gone. "It's been put on our train," his driver told him. God thought he had a job getting it into his van. But he hadn't worried. It turned out to be as light as a feather. The guard himself came up. "Have you found out what's in that crate then?" joked the driver. "Don't ask me," replied the guard. "We'll only take them where the label tells us to. But if you want to know what's in it," he broke up teasingly. "Yes," said Duncan, his driver and fireman all at once. "I think it's empty," finished the guard. "Empty?" echoed Duncan. "Who wants to sit an empty crate on a train?" "Not our business to worry about that," laughed the guard and went back to his van. Duncan backed down onto his coaches again, ready for the afternoon run, just as Boko arrived with the express. Some passengers transferred from one train to another. The guard was about to blow his whistle for Duncan to start when a late passenger arrived. Duncan thought he must be important because he had to wait while the guard and station master helped the latecomer onto the carriage. At last, everything was ready. Come on, come on, come on, grumbled Duncan impatiently. He tried to make up for the lost time, but because he was running late, Luke, with a goods train, had been allowed to go in front of him. Duncan had to wait at the signal at the junction until the line was cleared. Silly thing, he muttered crossly. How can I be expected to run my trains properly if signals keep stopping me all the time? Now, Duncan, warned his driver, you know perfectly well that you will be even later if you have an accident. At last, the signal arm rose. Duncan started with an impatient jerk and hurried to the platform. Beep, 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 he whistled to the passengers. Get in quickly, please. They were only too glad to. But when the driver looked back for the guard's green flag, there was no sign of either him or his flag. The station master came to see what was causing the delay. Had you seen a guard? Asked Duncan's driver. The station master shook his head. Now you mention it, he said. I don't remember seeing him at all this trip. He stopped. Just a moment, he said, listening. What's that noise? Everyone, including Duncan, tried to be as quiet as they could. A thumping noise seemed to be coming from the guard's van. The driver and station master ran to the doors and threw them open. The thumping became suddenly louder, and now they could hear a muffling cry too. Help! A voice was shouting. Help! Help! It's coming from inside that crate, exclaimed the station master. Quickly, they unhatched the lid. When they lifted it, they found the guard, very red in the face and very cross. He looked nothing like as smart as a guard would look. Hello, laughed Duncan's driver. Are you playing at Jack in the Box? No, I am not, said the guard crossly. But what happened? Asked the station master. The guard looked sheepish. I wanted to make sure that the crate was empty, he explained. It wasn't locked, so I opened it and looked in while Duncan was stopping at the signal. But when he started with a jerk and I overbalanced onto it, the lid fell on top of me and latched itself shut. The other men laughed until their sides ached. The driver was laughing when he came back to Duncan's cab and was still laughing when he had finished telling Duncan and his fireman the story. But Duncan didn't laugh. Now he had even more time to make up. For once, he agreed with the guard. He didn't think it was funny either.